I'm going to be showing you how to do 3 different kinds of shading. We have hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling. Each of these are different. I'm going to explain what the differences are, and I'm going to show you how to do them, and yeah. So first off, we have hatching, which is arguably the easiest. And what you're going to do is draw a ton of small lines that are parallel to one another to try to create try to create shade on an object. So I'm going to try to shade this like a sphere. So just lots of parallel lines. You can overlap the lines, but make sure not to cross them this way. So as you can see, we have a lot of darker and faster, more closer together lines to create the darker shadows, and then areas of light you just want to leave alone, and the very light parts you just do a few lines over here. So to create the darker parts of the shadows, you have more lines and you push down harder to make them darker, and for the lighter parts you have lighter lines and they're more far out. So the next one that we have is cross-hatching, which I think is a little bit easier. And instead of just doing parallel lines, we're going to be doing parallel lines and then crossing them the other way to create the dark values, which is going to look a little bit different. You'll see how it looks. So go again, starting to hatch where the lines would be. This is the first step, kind of avoiding the light part. And then you can cross over to create darker parts. And you want to continue doing this pattern until you have your desired shading. And to get the darker shades, you're going to want to do more hatching, so more crossing lines, and then for the lighter parts, you're going to do less hatching. So that is what cross-hatching looks like. As you can see, more crossing lines create the darker values and pressing down harder, and then when the lines are a little bit farther apart and not crossing as much, that's where you get the lighter values. And the last one we have is stippling, and you're going to be using little tiny dots to create the darkness, and then the closer they are together, that's going to create the darker values, and the farther apart they are, that is going to create the lighter values, as you'll see. Well, this technique I think looks the best. It does take the longest because you'll have to be doing a ton of tiny little dots. So if you want, you could also use a micron pen for this, which is what I'm going to be doing. That is what stippling looks like. So you can go even farther to make the darker values darker by adding a lot more little dots. And I mentioned this earlier, but the more clustered they are and the more closer they are together, like over here, that's what creates the darker values, and the more far apart they are, that creates the lighter values. And it looks a lot better when you have a ton more dots, but this is just a quick representation of what it looks like, and I think you kind of get the idea. So these are 3 methods of shading. All wrapped up, we have hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling.